So, a very good evening and a warm virtual welcome to everyone. I hope all of you can see and hear me clearly on YouTube. Okay, my name is Ayush Prakash. I am Senior Associate in the Advocates League. Today we have with us Mr. Shashank Mishra, who is Senior Associate in Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, and the one and only the legendary lawyer himself, Mr. MC Mehta Sir. I welcome both of you, sir, for joining us today. Now, a very brief introduction about the Advocates League. The Advocates League is an organization which consists of students, advocates, academicians, research scholars from pan India, and it is under the guidance of eminent personalities from the legal fraternity. This is an initiative of law students whose work is dedicated in the field of legal research, publications, judgment writing competition, quiz competition, and organizing seminars. The Advocates League is also adamant at providing law students the best internship opportunities under its internship program. Now, before starting with the session, I feel humbled and privileged to introduce you to our moderator of the day, Mr. Shashank Mishra. Shashank sir is 2014 law graduate from the Gujarat National Law University. Currently, he is senior associate in Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas. His area of practice includes dispute resolution, regulatory and policy advisory with special focus on the technology, media and telecommunication sector. Sir's expertise includes in the intermediary liability, privacy, data protection, cybersecurity, content regulation, monitoring, spectrum management, telecom, licensing, and jurisdictional issues in technology laws. Sir has also presented a paper on Bhopal gas tragedy at National Law University of Bhopal at a conference marking the 25th anniversary of the tragedy. He has also advised on electronic waste disposal laws in India. Now, without making any further delay, I would request Shashank sir to kindly take the session further. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Ayush. I hope everybody can hear me properly.
Yes, sir.
So, thank you for that introduction and for setting the tone of the session. Um, I have the privilege of introducing to everybody Mr. MC Mehta, who would be taking this lecture today for all of us. Uh, Mr. Mehta was born on 12th October 1946 in the Rajouri district of Jammu and Kashmir in a small village. He completed his post graduation in political science and obtained a degree of law from Jammu. In 1983, he shifted to Delhi, where he started his career as a lawyer. After that, what happened is something that all of us identify Shri MC Mehta with. He's been the pioneer of environmental lawyers in India. He's the flag bearer of environmental legal activism. He's not only been a responsible citizen, but an adamant activist, ensuring that evolution of environmental law jurisprudence in India has taken shape in the right direction. He has been involved in several landmark decisions pertaining to environmental law and pertaining to environmental issues in India, which include the oleum gas leak case, which in fact laid down the principle of absolute liability by the Supreme Court. He's also been involved in the Taj Mahal protection case, the Ganga pollution case, and many, many more. For his outstanding and extraordinary achievement, he has been awarded with several number of awards, most prominent of them being Padma Shri by the Government of India in 2016, Ramon Magsaysay Award in 1997, and the Goldman Environmental Award in 1996. Shri Mehta is currently part of the MC Mehta Environmental Foundation, which is an NGO that provides training programs for aspiring environmental attorneys and runs numerous environmental justice campaigns. He has made the fight to protect India's environment his unending mission. He has pioneered legal activism for environmental protection, and he's a living proof to the fact that one man can make loads of difference if he has the requisite determination. So with that, I would welcome Shri MC Mehta Sir. I would give a brief introduction about the topic of this lecture, after which I would give an overview of how the session would proceed. Uh, and then I would let Mr. MC Mehta begin with the lecture. So, as all of us know, the topic of today's webinar is the Vishakhapatnam gas leak case, issues of jurisdiction, law, and liability around this incident. Uh, this unfortunate incident happened in the outskirts of Vishakhapatnam in the early hours of Thursday, 7th of May 2020, around a month ago. The horrific images of unconscious people and people with breathing difficulties bring back the faded memory of the unfortunate Bhopal gas tragedy. Taking a suo motu action against this issue, the National Green Tribunal had directed the company involved to deposit an initial sum of 50 crore rupees with the district magistrate of Vishakhapatnam. And the tribunal also ordered to constitute a 5-member committee to assess the damage and conduct a probe into the gas leak case. Andhra Pradesh High Court also took suo motu cognizance of the incident and directed the state to take all necessary mitigating steps. The NGT order was challenged before the Supreme Court, and the court refused to stay the order passed by the tribunal. On 22nd May 2020, the Andhra Pradesh High Court ordered seizure of the premises of the company involved and barred the directors of the company from leaving India. This was challenged, and the Supreme Court agreed to permit 30 persons from the company access to the chemical plant. Very recently, on the 28th of May, the National Green Tribunal held that it has the power and jurisdiction to institute suo motu proceedings against the defaulters of environmental law in this case. And it thus held that the orders passed by the NGT was not illegal. Responding to the review petition moved by the company, the NGT also held that the South Korean company has strict and absolute liability for environmental law damage and loss of life consequent to the gas leak that took place on 7th of May. So that is a broad overview of the incident. Before proceeding to the lecture, I would just give a brief overview of how we intend to proceed here. I would be inviting Mr. MC Mehta to deliver his lecture next. If any of you who are participating in this webinar who have any questions here, we will be taking the Q&As at the end of the session. So please allow Mr. Mehta to conclude his lecture, after which we will take 5 questions and we will request Mr. Mehta to respond to those. At the end of the Q&A session, Mr. Mehta, we would request him to deliver a message for law students, legal professionals, and all other participants on this webinar. And then Mr. Ayush would be delivering a vote of thanks. So that is the broad overview. I would feel absolutely honored to request Shri MC Mehta to now begin his lecture.
Thank you for inviting me to deliver this lecture. As you know that Vishakhapatnam tragedy has taken place, and you have mentioned already. Vishakhapatnam case is not only a case of this nature, but there are many Vishakhapatnams hidden in India itself. Many hazardous industries and polluting industries, they are playing with the life of the people and other living beings. Vishakhapatnam, I have dealt with many cases along the coastline, and I am aware of such potential threats to the environment and to the people. As far as how I will give you a little background that how this strict and absolute liability principle came into existence. It was again the contribution of the Supreme Court of India, which laid down this law, this principle, and how it happened. In Delhi, their gas leaked in 1985, on 4th December 1985. And prior to that, I had filed a case against this industry because it was manufacturing lot of chemicals and other potential. It was a potential threat to the citizens of Delhi. People were suffering with air pollution, with water pollution, and so many other things. And the industry was very powerful, and so nobody could take any action against that industry. The people approached me, and then at that time, I did not know anything about such hazards and threats which we as human beings were facing, and other hidden threats. So I did a search. I went to these areas, and the people they told me that they even can't open their doors and windows during night, because from all sides they were facing the noxious gases coming into their homes and all that. So it was going on. It was a DCM group. It's a big, powerful group. So I filed a case, and then all of a sudden, after a month, the gas leaked from the same company. So I brought a case. I brought this to the notice of the Supreme Court at that time. As a chance, on that 4th December, I had filed another case prior to that, and that pertained to Mumbai and Thane, Belapur, and all those hazardous industries which were polluting and which were potential threat to the human beings. So that case was listed at that day, and then in the meantime, in Delhi, the lawyers, they started running in the corridors of the Supreme Court here, there, for safety to their life. So I asked them that what has happened. So they said that gas has leaked in Delhi, and it was felt that maybe that this gas leak has taken place from the same industry, the Shriram Food and Fertilizers, and against which I had filed this petition a month earlier. So now I was waiting in the courtroom, and in that I mentioned the court heard my earlier petition, this Bombay and other areas petition, and then they issued notice. And I, at that time, Justice P.N. Bhagwati, he was a wonderful judge, Chief Justice of India, and he was hearing this case. And I said that I have to say something else. And they thought that I want to close down the industries. So I was saying, but then I was not being allowed. So I said that I am worried about the life of your lordships and my colleagues in the court and other citizens in Delhi. Please give me the time.
I think we've lost him again. We'll just try to get him back online. In the meantime, just a reminder, whoever has any questions from Mr. Mehta, please type them out in the YouTube comment section. The team here would be selecting the top 5 questions, and they will be posed to Mr. Mehta, and he can respond to them at the end of this lecture.
So this was how the foundation was laid down of such cases, hazardous and polluting industries, and all this. So now what I am just revealing one or two other things, and that is such hidden threats we are facing every day in the country because of the chemical industries uh, in India, and without they don't observe any uh, environmental laws. They don't they don't care for the human health and the well-being of others also. So that is how this is the carelessness of this industry, but whether it's the chemical industries or other hazardous polluting industries. You all may be knowing about how the Bhopal tragedy took place, and even up to this time, the people are suffering there, and compensations were given, but even that was not sufficient. Killing a human being or any other living thing is not that you are being compensated for that you can't compensate a life against the life, because the life is so precious to that person or to that living species, that if you say that yes, we will give you this much amount and you get killed, I don't think that any human being or any other species will agree to that, because the life is most precious thing for all of us. Now the question is that Vishakhapatnam, I had a number of cases all along the coastline, and even at that time, I brought to the notice of the courts on different occasions that whole of the country is sitting on a very serious threat, and that is because of the chemical industries, because of the other potential threats being caused daily to all of us. The air we breathe and the water we drink, these are precious gifts which are necessary for all of us. And earth, which is most important. If the land is there, we can live only. And we can survive only if the land is there. In the air, we can't. But this is the 5 elements which are very important for all of us. That is land, air, water. And if you see that land, we have polluted our country very badly. I'm talking about because I live over here in this country, and I have taken a birth over here. So that is why I'm mainly talking today about this. But I'm equally concerned about the whole world. My friends, you are legal luminaries. And being legal luminaries, we all have a duty to be ahead, because we know law. And if we become concerned and if we are conscious what is happening around, then of course we can use law for the protection of nature, for the protection of all the living species, and we can save ourselves from the potential threats which we face, whether it's the Vishakhapatnam, whether it was Delhi, whether it's many other incidents and the accidents which have taken place in this country. Now the question is that even other than this, chemical industries, what is the fate of the air in Delhi? We live in Delhi, and you can see what is the situation over there. Similarly, all cities today, they are polluted. Not now after the pandemics, but prior to that. When we talk about the pandemics, it was a blessing in disguise, in the sense that yes, this nature can't tolerate anymore bad things which were happening in the whole world. and it interfered. The nature, to protect herself, has to step forward to give us a lesson, and the lesson has been given to only human beings. It has not touched any other living beings. You name any other. All other living beings, they are safe except human beings. Because we were totally negligent. We thought that we as human beings are more superior to nature and to everything, and that is what we are facing today. That all prime ministers and presidents of this whole world, they are hiding somewhere to protect their lives. We, as we are legal luminaries or whatever you call that, the social activists, the other activists, all we are trying to save ourselves. If we would have been concerned about environment, then the situation would not have come. We have not spared the Gangaji, which is our lifeline of India. We have not spared the heritage of this country, and that is how it happened, because we never talked about the principle of sustainability. The principle of sustainability, if we would have a there too, then of course these two things can work together. We can protect the nature and we can do things only to fulfill our needs, not greed.
So we are able to see and hear you.
Yes. Yeah. So what I'm saying, we should have should fix and that we should care for others as we care for ourselves. That is the first principle. And we as law-knowing people, we should also see that wherever wrong is happening, we would notice of the and course people. The court not meant for everything, but it is that we can play a part. The other authorities sleep over the affairs. If the authorities would have taken Visakhapatnam, there was no need for are taking so much by the NGT. So how many people? So I think that we should set an example on this also, that increase the polluters committed this heinous crime, because such fatal accident, they should spare and they should analyze both physically and monetarily. So that Visakhapatnam, I can't say action. That if we are active, then we do, and then they should take off lawyers to yes, file such action really, come up that and justice should be one, give the people and the environment what they are there only to do their work for the city and protection also. Now the second question is that how we do that. So when we are talking about the air, in air also the same situation is there. The air, all cities as you know. So that is why even the Supreme Court, in many directions to protect the air, people from the air pollution by and in that situation the court has given many directions, whether it's the vehicular pollution, whether it was other things. In vehicular pollution, now the standards the courts, judiciary, why the governments go on sleeping? Because there is some mismatch. There is some that is between the officials and the industry. There is no accountability. The principle of accountability is missing as far as the hazardous industries are concerned. Each day, how so similarly, the other groundwater, the entire country's groundwater is polluted. There are many, there are hundreds of places I have visited where up to 700 feet, 800 feet, and there's...
Hi everyone, sorry for the interruption. Mr. Mehta unfortunately is having some weak connection issues. He's currently in Dehradun where he's unable to get adequate reception. We are trying to fix this issue as soon as possible. In the meantime, we are receiving questions from a lot of you. We've already zeroed down on some of them, so please feel free to continue to type them in, and we will post them at the end of the session. Hopefully, Mr. Mehta would be back soon. So we can see you now, sir. I think there's some connection.
So sorry, it is not connection is not good. In any case, I think that I should not speak much, but I will definitely see that some questions are will be asked, and I will be happy to answer. But my my concern is that please, we are cream of this nation as a lawyer, and then if we have the fundamental duty to protect environment, rivers, lakes, and have compassion for animal life. This is in the Constitution of India, fundamental duty. It is one of the fundamental duties. As a citizen, first we are citizen of this country, and the second, after that, we are lawyers, or doctors, or we belong to any other profession. We are a farmer or whatever. So my concern is that how much the legal fraternity is going to contribute to the protection of environment, rivers, lakes, and for the protection of nation is not good. So I'm sorry, I was not in a position to speak. Yes.
No problem, sir. I think fortunately we can hear you in this.
Yes. If you have any questions, you can do that. But my only again, I will press it that please, as lawyers, you have an association, and I'm very happy that your organization is doing a wonderful thing, and to create awareness in the country on these issues. And I think that it is the lawyers, those who can be the champion of these causes, because environment is important for everybody. It is not for that only I'm whether it is a person is a judge, whether is a scientist, whether is a lawyer, or whether is anything else. So any profession, we all need that. And so please see that how the children in this country are suffering, how the other things are happening so bad that you can't touch there was a case, in Udaipur. If I tell you that case, the 100 crores of fees was fined by the Supreme Court to that as a damages. but that person has run away. He is no more on there. It was in Udaipur, and that case I took that case, and it was terrible that even the animals, they could not even drink that water. Not to but to talk of human beings or other. So and that was a company of the government of India. So this is how even whether these are government companies or private companies, their behavior is same. So as lawyers, we have a duty to tell the client also, if you are appearing for those industries, that please don't do. You go first, set your house right, come to me, and I will tell the court that yes, my client is now duty bound and he will be doing. I think that will be a wonderful way of.
I think before we move on to some of the specific questions that we've received, I wanted to ask you something which is more in line with the topic that we've chosen today. So you rightly emphasize the importance of lawyers taking up environmental causes, especially given the situation keeps deteriorating day by day. And like you said, this was even prior to COVID and in all forms of the environment. Do you think, sir, that the laws as they are today are adequate for lawyers to agitate and initiate action, let's say, for any kind of environmental violation? Or do you think there is scope for a change in law or improvements in the existing statutes or legislation in order for advocates to pursue legal remedies?
Yeah. You see that as far as the laws are concerned, I always say that even if we have the weak laws, let us have an introspection that whether those weak laws are also being complied with or not. And in my view, whether we have the strong laws or the weak laws, all these, the strong and the weak, both are, we can put in the same plate, because they are not being complied with by most of the industries, and the pollution control boards, which were set up to see that the laws are enforced, the Ministry of Environment, Government of India, and the other state governments, they were duty bound to comply, to see that the laws are complied. But unfortunately, that is not happening. And this is also an example of this industry, that the authorities, they had given a long rope to such chemical industries, that they have been able to do all these bad things, causing the chemical disaster in Visakhapatnam.
Understood. Also, sir, in terms of, so we understand that you've been practicing in this area since the 1980s. And in fact, I was reading somewhere that 1985 is when you filed your first PIL, right, on environmental law issues. How have you seen... 84. I'm sorry for that. So how have you seen the evolution of courts' intervention on environmental law issues? Now we have a National Green Tribunal as well, whereas initially I think the larger development of jurisprudence was coming from the writ courts through public interest litigations. Do you think, sir, PILs still remain the single most important form of intervention for environmental law issues, or do you think the NGT serves its purpose in the right manner currently?
You see that actually the Supreme Court of India, long back in 80s, had said in one of my cases that environment courts should be set up in the country. That was the specific word environment courts. It was not that the environment courts were set up. Instead of appointing environment courts, setting up environment courts, they came for the formation of the tribunals, and even the tribunals are not having that strength of members which should be over there. So my concern is that please, if the government or any higher officials they are sensitive, then this is the time, and the nature has not the government alone, but now they should see that under these circumstances the water has been cleaned by the nature herself. Now the Ganga ji is far cleaner now today without the human intervention, and that is what I said, that we as human beings, we failed to protect the environment. The governments collapsed in this aspect. Now the nature had to intervene to cleanse herself and to clean the rivers, to clean the air, and now you can see that the air in Delhi is much better. The air in all over the country, if you see today and prior to this pandemics, now today the environment is far cleaner and far better than than what it was before pandemics. So this is a lesson, and this lesson has been given to only us as human being, because we never bothered about the protection of the environment and to serve the nature, to protect the nature. And nature, if we respect nature, the nature will nourish you, nourish us, nourish every living being. So we have to see that we have to create a balance. It is not that the development should not take place, but development for whom? Development for only human beings? We are dependent on all living beings. We are dependent on this nature. If the mountains, if the Himalayas are finished, do you think that we will be surviving tomorrow? We will not survive tomorrow. The Himalayas are the crown of the world, and we are destroying. And now, because of after the pandemics, they are much green today. So these are the lessons which have been given by nature, by Almighty, to all of us, that we are not above nature. We are only one species, and we as that species failed to protect and respect the nature.
Okay. So, sir, I will pose to you one of the questions that has come from the participants on this webinar. This is by Akanksha Gupta. She wants to know on what factors the amount of damages or compensation are decided by the court in cases such as this, implying the Visakhapatnam gas leak case.
You see, in Visakhapatnam gas leak case, frankly, I have not read the full case, and so I will not be able to tell that what punishment. But under the various laws, Environment Protection Act, the Water Pollution Control Act, the Air Pollution Control Act, and then how they flouted, what was their past record, and all that, and they should be not only that monetarily fine or monetarily compensation, they should be put behind the bars. The whole administration, those who were running that industry, they are responsible. If we don't send that signal to them, they will continue to do. And these things are happening every day in the country. Please, it is not only Visakhapatnam. Every day, I have witnessed to so many things. and it should happen. There should be deterrent punishment should be given to the industries or the management who was responsible in causing such a tragedy.
And so, do examples come to your mind in the last few decades that you've been involved in this area of courts actually going ahead and taking this action, which was, let's say, to your satisfaction, to of punishing the perpetrators of environmental law violations?
Okay, if you are asking me the candid question, I will say, and my answer is the yes. The whatever the environment has been protected so far, that was due to the court intervention. But if you ask me that the punishments, except the civil penalties, the criminal law was never enforced, because they did a criminal activity also. So for that criminal activity, they should have been punished. And in my view, that if they have the punishment is very severe punishments. If you read the Environment Protection Act and other laws, the Water Act and other acts, but if the government is very soft, what will you do? What the people can do? People are innocent. They are the people. Most of the people in this country, 80% of the population, they don't know about the laws even. What can they do? Where should they run for their safety? Which are the forums? The forums have not been created by the governments, either by the state government or the central government, and they all the time they protected the industries. That is my impression. What during the last 35 to 40 years of my life, which I have gone into all these cases in different ways, not only that by my grassroots actions also. I have found that the industries, whether it in Andhra Pradesh, in this Telangana now, Hyderabad and outside, there is a bichri, and and there are many other areas in Udaipur, as I gave you that bichri, that case is generally known as, and in Andhra Pradesh, in Telangana, in other areas, all that I have not spared. I have not. I have been to all these places. I have seen. I have talked to people, and I did take the help of the experts with me. It is not that I, as a lawyer, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a expert in chemical industries. But at the same time, as a lawyer, it is my duty to learn more and more, and only then I will be able to save the environment in the court of law.
So, Rishabh Taneja has another question for you, which is linked to what we were discussing currently about courts being at the forefront of providing relief versus the responsibility under law and of the companies, etc. His question is, do you believe that the obligation to protect environment must fall within the parameters of corporate social responsibility for every company, and a specific provision should be made for that?
No, the social corporate responsibility is already there, as you know. But this social corporate responsibility is not only up to giving some money, donations to some organizations, to some NGOs or this and that. The social corporate responsibility is that they should take all necessary steps to see that nothing should be polluted. Environment, rivers, lakes, groundwater. Now, whatever the pollution has been caused by the chemical industries and other, the paper mills and other all sorts of industries, polluting industries, that you can't clean your rivers. You can't. You are not able to. You have to spend thousands of crores of rupees.
Welcome back, sir. I think We were fortunate to have not had this issue for a while, but it cropped out again. This is better, I think.
Yes, if there is any question, but then otherwise we should end. Please tell it.
Sure. So there are plenty of questions, sir, but we'll just try to.
Yeah, please. I will be happy to reply if there are other questions. I don't want to
Right.
annoy my friends.
Right. So, so there's one question from Agruti Gupta. It is looking at environmental law from the perspective of animals and not human beings. So she's asking what can be done to and how can it be done to protect animals from the offenders as we saw in the past few days. We have laws to protect humans from humans, but what about protecting animals from humans?
My reply is that whether it is a wildlife or any other living being, even the plants they talk, but we should be sensitive to hear them. The wildlife, they also speak, but we as human beings, we don't have that senses to see that yes, they are also suffering. So unless we create a movement in the country about saving the animals and the wildlife, we will not be able to protect them. I have dealt with slaughterhouses cases. The Mrs. Manka Gandhi's case, I did, and I became vegetarian. And earlier to that, I was non-vegetarian. But once I visited the slaughterhouse in Delhi and some other slaughterhouses, I took a decision not to take any meat or anything, and I became a vegetarian. And after that, I took that case. So we have to not only act, but we have to be sensitive in taking those things to the conclusion. Because if we are sensitive to see that this in the cruelty to animals should not take place, then we should be sensitive. I have seen that in a one truck, about 60 to 70 animals, they were found loaded over there, and some of the animals they die under the weight of the other animals. So this is our sensitivity. So it is again the question of the cruelty to animals, and the laws are there, but we should see that these are enforced.
Okay. So, so you mentioned about the lockdown and the COVID situation, about how the environment tried to heal itself during this period of less economic activity, and how human beings had failed to do that prior to that situation. The next question is linked to this issue. Saloni Jain has this question about as we are expecting many manufacturing industries are going to shift in India from China, what measures can be taken to resolve the problem of pollution spreading by manufacturing industries? I'll just add to that, sir. Did you, so just building on this point, did you think that this period of lockdown or this period of curtailed economic activity was a good opportunity for us to work on environmental issues or to rethink those issues? Because one of the barriers of implementing environmental reforms is that the cost of economic activity getting curtailed is too high. But in the lockdown period, we saw how economic activity was curtailed, environment was trying to redeem itself, and we could clearly see the effects of that happening. Did you think that this COVID lockdown period was an opportunity for us to implement some of the environmental reforms? And do you see now that we are strongly pushing for increased manufacturing activity, let's say, assuming that happens from China coming into India, did you see that as a major concern?
Yes. In my view, you see that the first thing is if the government of India is sensitive. If the government of India is really sensitive, then in that case, the state governments and the central government and the leadership ruling this country and the states, they should learn a lesson that they are and realize that they are not more powerful than the nature. And because of wrong actions, not only in India, all over the world, it is a fever, developmental fever. That fever has ultimately spread so vast that the nature had to intervene and stop this nonsense. So whether it is now the planners, whether they are the government officials, whether they are the leaders, those who govern the countries, they have the first duty to go for 24 hours at least and ask their conscience that what they have to do. Why this warning came to them and not all other living species? All they are happy. The more birds we can notice today, the more wildlife we can notice. The rivers, they are much cleaner, which they could not do. So if these authorities and the politicians and all those whatever the class is there, if they are going to do the same mistakes, then I don't think that we will be able to pandemics. It is the first warning to all living on earth, especially human beings, not the other. They are happy. All the birds are there, the animals are there, running here, they are so happy. If you see that, if you notice in the countryside. But except human beings which are locked up, locked down, this is going on. What is this locked up and locked? Why it should happen in the world? Because the world leadership have failed to protect the environment, the planet Earth. And so for that, it is very important that we should learn this lesson and make such policies which are environment friendly, which are only for sustainable development. But if we call industries from China and if they will again start polluting all the rivers and all other things, and we give them a long rope to set up such industries without any measures, preventive measures, without enforcing laws, then in that case, I don't think that we will have a second chance to survive. This is the first chance, and the first chance we all know what is happening in this world. And my humble appeal to the leaders all over the world, and especially in India, is that please look, have an introspection, just peep inside of that what you have done. If they sit in silence for some time, for a day or two, at least, and have an introspection of why these warnings are coming to us. Why? What is the reason? And the reason is only because greed. The greed has multiplied, and the governments and the leaderships are responsible in giving the large hopes to the people and everybody the development. They have never thought of the what should be the model of development in this country. Development for whom? Development for developing things or developing human beings or happiness. We have missed. We have a development which is totally
Right. So, sir, thank you so very much for your time and for your guidance here. I will just like to say, sir, that
you. Yes.
as a citizen, I think, sir, you've been our savior. As a lawyer, you are truly an inspiration. And as a law student, sir, you were always our trump card because in all our environmental law papers, if we had not read the provisions properly, we would cite an MC Mehta versus Union of India case law, knowing fully well that the court would have passed some judgment in a case filed by you on an environmental law issue. So, that brings back fond memories
Yes.
from our own law school time as well, sir. I would quickly request Ayush to deliver his vote of thanks, and then we can wrap up.
Okay, thank you, Shashank sir. So we have now come to the end of the webinar. A huge thanks to MC Mehta sir and Shashank sir for giving us your precious time and joining with us in such short duration. We all listen to you very patiently, sir, and we always get inspired by your love and approach towards the environment. So, lastly, I would just like to thanks Nitish Kumar Mishra, who is convener of the Advocates League, Ashish Kumar Rai, who is the president, Shreesh Pathak, who was the chief coordinator, for making this seminar possible. And also, my special thanks to all the participants and viewers who have been with us during this whole time. And kindly excuse us for the loss of connectivity that occurred due to heavy rains in Dehradun. So, all the very best. Take care. Bye.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.